Hey, hello, hello. I hope you're doing super, super well. And if you're not, that is okay too. Tonight, I wanted to do a little book haul with you, featuring exclusively books in other languages other than English. So, not in translation either. And these languages include Spanish, Italian, and French. Spanish, Italian, French. For the Spanish, it is specifically Argentine Spanish, because that is what I speak. So I feel like I should preface this briefly by saying, oh yeah, I spilled a little water here. I drank some water before I started and then spilled. So I am a huge proponent of resolutions. Not so much annual resolutions or New Year's resolutions, although that's good too, but kind of monthly resolutions. Every month I set a few achievable, small, actionable goals for myself. And this month, one of my goals was to not even do it yet, not even read them yet, but to set aside the time and the money to buy some books in other languages, because my language study has been lacking lately and is really something that I greatly miss. I greatly miss it. So my goal for this month was just to acquire the books in other languages that I wanted to read and incorporate into my language study. And then, of course, my next goal will be to set time aside to read them. I had reached a plateau on a few of the languages, namely, Argentine Spanish, yes, and then also recently Italian as well. And my French, I'm a terrible speaker, terrible writer, but I can read it. And I haven't done anything with it in ages, but I just wanted to see what I was capable of reading. So that's why I threw in a French book too. So we'll just get started then. I have 6 books to show you. The first 2 were written in Argentine Spanish, and specifically Buenos Aires, Porteño Spanish. And that is the Spanish I feel most connected to. And while I am interested in reading other books in Mexican Spanish, etc., I am a little wary of it, only because I don't want certain words that are particular to those dialects to replace the ones I have in my mind from Argentina. So I'm still feeling that out. For example, I have an excellent book in Spanish that was written in Mexico called Pedro Páramo, and that one was worth it. But generally I want to try to read in Argentine Spanish. So this first one, you might have heard of her if you read a lot of fiction or story collections in English or other languages. She's widely translated. Her name is Mariana Enriquez. She wrote Things We Lost in the Fire, and more recently, The Dangers of Smoking in Bed. And this one is Nuestra Parte de Noche. I need to look up how it's been translated in English, because I, off the cuff would say it's our part of the night, or like our share of the night. But I think the English is just a hair different, but I'm not sure because I am going to read this one in Spanish. I'm very excited about it. Very, very excited. I liked The Dangers of Smoking in Bed, but I loved Things We Lost in the Fire. I read both of those in English, and I'll just say I felt happy to read them in English, but at certain points there were word choices where I just thought, what is this word in Argentine Spanish? Because this sounds whack in English. I can't really think of some examples right now, and I never have had the original text in Spanish to compare it to. But some of the words I felt like she was mistranslating or poorly translating might have been like cheto or like guacho, or I don't know, some slangy words that are very particular to Argentina. And I just thought, I wonder if this is like a fault of Mariana's writing, which I highly doubt it is, or a fault of the translator. The translator's name is Megan McDowell, and she gets a lot of really big projects, and I don't think she's bad, because also she's like one of the biggest Spanish to English translators in like kind of this alternative literary fiction sphere. But I think she gets too much work maybe and can't do it all as well as she might like. And or I think she lives in Chile, and I wonder if she just doesn't know some of the like porteñoisms, if you will. So this is my first book of Mariana Enriquez's that I'm going to read in Spanish. I'm very excited because I think she's a very good writer. So that's the first one. And the second one I'm so excited about. This one has never been translated into English as far as I'm aware. It is called 45 Days and 30 like seamen, mariners, what have you. Marineros. And it is by Nora, I don't know how you say it, Lang. No idea. We'll say Lang, I guess. There is a book by her. She was a contemporary of Silvio Campo and Borges and all those cool cats. There's a book of hers that was translated into English called People in the Room, and I love that book so much. It's hard for me to say how much. I love it so much. And I read that one in English too. You have to understand, in the past I've read in English because I felt like even when my language level was high, by reading in English, I could enjoy the story more and like the craft of it, like the style, and be taken on more of a ride, even when I spoke the language well. So that's why I've read a lot of these in English, but now I'm pivoting just for the challenge of it. Anyway, People in the Room is amazing. It's about this young woman who lives in this apartment with her family, and across the street there are these 3 women who are kind of spookily clad and don't do much, just walk around and sit and have tea and stuff. But this girl watches them obsessively from her window and has all these ideas about them. And it's this very claustrophobic book. And I just adore it so much. This book seems like it will probably be similarly claustrophobic. It is about, I believe, about one woman on a boat traveling across the ocean with 30 sailors. That's the word I wanted. Mariners, seamen, sailors. Let's say sailors. And it's saying on the back that it's autobiographical. So maybe this is Nora, our good Nora here. I don't know. But it sounds like it's just ripe for my enjoyment. I'm very excited. So there's that. Then in Italian, which I had been studying really dauntlessly for a long time. But then in 2020, not at all, for obvious reasons. And I want to get back into it. So I had already read Jhumpa Lahiri's In altre parole, which is in other words. She writes in English. I forget, is she Bengali American or Bengali British? Bengali American maybe? She writes in English. But she's always been in love with Italian. So she moved to Rome, I believe, and just decided to, put her Italian to use, live in Italian, be Italian as close as she could be. And now she writes her fiction in Italian. You guessed it, Italian. So I had read In Other Words by her, which she wrote as she was kind of learning and polishing her Italian about the process of studying the language. And it's really good. I read that in Italian, and it's nice because her Italian is really evocative and styled thoughtfully, but it's still very simple because she's not a native speaker, and she had not had much practice writing in Italian before writing that book, as far as I could tell. So she wrote a new book called Dove mi trovo, Dove mi trovo. And it's by Jhumpa Lahiri. And I'm very excited about this one. So I guess I would translate this as Where I Find Myself. It has been translated into English, and so there may be a different English title, official English title. I'm just doing it off the cuff. And I believe it's autobiographical, just like In Other Words. So very excited about this. I hope the Italian is really accessible. And I imagine it will be. And if not, I'll just take it slowly. So I also got two novels, by Natalia Ginsburg. Super excited. I've never read her before, but I've heard great things about people who have read her in translation in English. So this is È stato così. So my Italian's really rusty right now. I haven't studied any of it since January, February 2020, maybe early March 2020, but not a word since then. And so it's really rusty, but I think I would translate this as it was like that. It was like that, perhaps. But I know that this one in English is officially translated, the title at least, as The Dry Heart. And I believe it opens with a woman shooting her husband and then explaining it, maybe. So excited about that. And also this one, which is Familia. By Natalia Ginsburg also, which translates to, as you can probably guess, family. So also really excited about this one. So Familia y Borghesia, I guess, Borghesia, are two, I'm translating off the cuff, this is all in Italian, but are two chapters/episodes that make up this book by Ginsburg, written in 1977, two stories of something and of family crisis in which characters, they're very like capricious and make interesting choices and bad friends and bad affairs and things like that. So excited about that as well. And then finally, I have one book in French. My French is abysmal. I'm not even going to try to say this title in French, but I will trace it for you. I really wanted to read Bonjour Tristesse in French by Françoise Sagan. Is that how you say her last name? And I could find it. I could in French, but truth be told, all the French versions had really ugly covers, and I'm kind of a sucker for a good cover design, a good edition of a book. Like, I'll go out of my way to get the particular edition that I want. So I didn't pick it up in French, I picked it up in English. I picked up Bonjour Tristesse, which in English is called the same, I believe. And it was combined with A Certain Smile, which is another like novella-length novel that she wrote. They were in one edition together that wasn't terribly ugly, and I think there was an introduction by Stephanie Damler, so that was nice. Is that right? No, by Rachel Cusk. I read a different introduction by Stephanie Damler for a book I'm reading now called Black Swans, about life in LA in the 80s and 90s. But the introduction for Bonjour Tristesse and A Certain Smile in my edition was by Rachel Cusk, who I love. And I really enjoyed both of those novels. Highly recommend if you're going to read them in French or in English. They both take place, one takes place in the French Riviera, and the other takes place in Paris, I believe, with little jaunts out of the city to the countryside. They all include like amazing love affairs, and they're just really good summer reads and kind of easy reads without feeling too easy. I really, really enjoyed them. So I think they're perfect to read when it's hot and you're on vacation, or when it's not hot and you wish you were on vacation. That works too. Anyway, so I felt guilty in a way that I didn't pick that up in French. So I got one by her in French that's, I think, lesser known. It's this kind of old school edition, and it's called A Bit of Sun on or in on cold water. And I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Again, it seems like it's gonna be a similar love affair, kind of sumptuous summer vacation life with drama kind of thing. So I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see if I can translate it off the cuff. It's like she, don't know how you would say this name, Gilles. A brilliant Parisian journalist has depression. He decides to leave the capital. He's very cynical, and whatever, to like take a break with his sister in a town outside of Paris. There he meets Natalie, a married woman who's sincere and who falls in love with him. She gives everything up to go to Paris, to his or her small apartment, basically she's going to stay there with him until he asks her to leave. And she's a woman of a single passion. I don't know. It sounds dramatic and romantic and messy. So I'm into it. I'm also into this pocket edition, which is super portable. So very excited about that. This concludes the haul with my 1 French book, my 3 Italian books, and my 2 Spanish books from Argentina. Very excited. I think I'm going to start with 1 Spanish book, probably the Nora Lang one, and then 1 Italian book, probably the Jhumpa Lahiri, and go from there, and go from there, and go from there. So, I hope you found some books maybe you could read in the original language or in translation that are from other places. I think it's very important to try to read books from all over. It just broadens your worldview. How could it not? And I hope you enjoyed this little haul and that it relaxed you. I will see you, as always, very, very, very